Hope you are doing well wherever you are. Today we are going to talk about that how human life revolves around genomes, and genomics, and how these things are being made complex day by day. So, these three words, gene, genome, and genomics, have a common feature of having relevance to DNA. That is also known as deoxyribonucleic acid. So, let's see. And where the DNA is mainly, DNA in living organisms is present in the nucleus of cell. And here, if you look into the overall a cell, so inside, just in the center, there is a region known as nucleus. And in this nucleus, the DNA is present. Now, the fascinating thing is, almost every cell has a complete set of DNA. And if we talk about the number of cells, and an adult male, there are 36 trillion cells. Yes, 36 trillion. Whereas female, they have relatively lesser number of cells, and they are 28 trillion. And if we talk about the cell types, in humans so far, 400 different cell types have been observed in 60 different tissues. So, now we agree on this one that inside the cell nucleus, there is a DNA and it's packed into structure, which are known as chromosomes. You can see it over here. And each species have specific number of chromosomes. If we are talking about humans have 23 pairs of chromosomes. Remember, humans have 23 pairs of chromosomes. But living species differ in the number of chromosomes. And if we talk about dog has 39 pairs of chromosomes. That tells the number of chromosomes is not defining the complexity of any organism. Okay, so just a little bit. I will mention over here in some other videos. I will be talking in detail that DNA has two strands. In scientific word, we call as a double-stranded DNA, and it is comprised of nucleotides, and that repeat in this DNA sequence. And there are four different type of nucleotide based on the bases. They are adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. So here is the DNA structure, and this is the way adenine will always be joining with thymine in the opposite strand, and cytosine will be with the guanine, and so on. Now, let's try to, go into the web or authentic sources and look for the definition of gene. This I am really concerned, and you should also be concerned once you look into the definition of gene, why there is not a consensus definition. So I am mentioning just four different sources over here. Like gene comprises deoxyribonucleic acid that we have already discussed, except in some viruses, this is something addition, that viruses genomic material is sometimes RNA also. So let's see the four definition, and you yourself can realize that why four definition, why we do not have a single consensus definition. And of course, biology is complex, and these are all the characteristics of gene, and we should not classify them as the definition of gene. So according to Britannica.com, gene unit of hereditary information that occupies a fixed position, that is known as locus, on a chromosome. Gene achieve their effect by directing the synthesis of protein. And if we look into the medicalnewstoday.com, that's another authentic source, and it describes gene consists of DNA, which determine what an organism is, like its appearance, how it survives, and how it behaves in its environment. Okay, let's go to medlineplus.gov and how they define gene. Their definition of gene is a gene is the basic physical and fundamental unit of heredity. Genes are made up of DNA. Some genes act as instructions to make molecules called protein. However, many genes do not code for protein. Okay, let's go to genome.gov. What is their definition? The gene is considered the basic unit of inheritance. Genes are passed from parents to offspring and contain the information needed to specify physical and biological traits. So all these very authentic organizations, they have given different version of the definition of genes, and I believe we should have a consensus one because if there is a consensus definition of gene, somebody go on the web, somebody go on the chat GPT, somebody go anywhere, they should have a consensus definition that what gene is. So, take home message regarding to gene definition, there is no consensus definition of gene. Now, let us look on another term that is genome and how genome is being defined. You can see over here, and genome has relevance to gene, chromosome, and everything. And as I shared with you, that all these three gene, genome, and genomics have commonality of talking about DNA. So NIGMS, NIH.gov define genome is all of the genetic material in an organism. It is made of DNA or RNA in some viruses and include genes and other elements that control the activity of those genes. So, National Human Genome Research Institute, there are two definitions. It depends wherever in the website you are looking. The first definition is an organism complete set of DNA is called its genome. Virtually every single cell in the body contains a complete copy of approximately 3 billion DNA base pairs or letters that make up the human genome. There is another definition also, and where it defined the same organization. The genome is the entire set of DNA instruction found in cell. In human, the genome consists of 23 pairs of chromosomes located in the cell's nucleus, as well as small chromosome in the cell's mitochondria. A genome contains all the information needed for an individual to develop and function. Great. So, I looked on the nature.com site table how they define the genome. Their definition of genome is a complete set of genetic information in an organism. It provides all of the information the organism requires to function. In living organisms, the genome is stored in long molecules of DNA called chromosomes. And I just tried to look on the Wikipedia also that how genome is being defined. And there, a genome sequence is the complete list of the nucleotide A, C, G, and T that I already mentioned, adenine, cytosine, guanine, and thiamine, that makes up all the chromosomes of an individual species. So again, all these are characteristics of the genome. Do we have a consensus definition? I think, of course, these are good for a molecular biologist, but if somebody is totally naive to gene, genome, and genomics, it's a bit tough for that person to find out that where I should believe in. So again, we have the same thing. There is no consensus definition of genome existing so far. Now, the last one is genomics. And in genomics, I will first give you a definition of this genomics from the World Health Organization. This organization defined genomic is the study of the total or part of the genetic or epigenetic sequence information of organisms and attempts to understand the structure and function of these sequences and of downstream biological products. There is a definition, another definition, and it's a put simply, genomic is the study of an organism genome, its genetic material, and how that information is applied. If you go on genome.gov, it defined genomic is a field of biology focused on studying all the DNA of an organism, that is its genome. Such work include identifying and characterizing all the genes and functional elements in an organism genome, as well as how they interact. There is a definition from the European Bioinformatics Institute, and that defines genomics is the study of whole genome of organisms and incorporates elements from genetics. Genomics uses a combination of recombinant DNA sequencing method, and bioinformatics to sequence, assemble, and analyze the structure and function of genome. You can see again diversity over here, and everybody has defined this as per their requirement. Once again, we leave with the take-home message: no consensus definition of genomics. Okay, guys, so far we have been able to discuss about the three definitions, gene, genome, genomics, all relevant to DNA. As we know, DNA is the genetic material, and DNA is getting a lot more importance in human health, and the time is coming when everybody, so far everyone knows about this one, but in future everybody will be talking about DNA and its relevance, like these terms that we have described today. So what I believe in these multiple definition of basic terms in molecular biology creates confusion instead of cohesion for laymen. Even if you are a trained molecular biologist and you are asked that write the definition of how you define gene or genomes. So, if you based on your definition on these different organizational definition, you might get confused a bit. So, we are moving in the era of genomics and proteomics, impacting people daily life. There is an urgent need to develop consensus on these definitions. And personalized and genomic medicines are reality. And if we keep confusing students of molecular biology and common public, it can create problematic situation. So, how I can conclude that whatsoever I have discussed with you, first thing is there is no doubt biology, molecular biology is very complex subject. But different definition of basic terms are making it more confusing. For laymen and common public, there is a need for unified definition of terms like genes, genome, and genomics.